Welcome to the new normal, what's now, what's next. I'm KRCB News Director Steve Mencher. We're here at Bailey Field on the Santa Rosa Junior College campus because this is where the community gathered on October 28th to remember lost loved ones, to celebrate first responders and local heroes, and to let the music of mourning feed our souls.
There were deputies who risked their life on the street to pull people out of houses, stick them in patrol cars, and drive them down.
It is with great humility and great sadness that I bring the condolences of our colleagues in the Congress of the United States to all of you.
And they tell me,
As the fires here were being extinguished in mid-October, there were already members of the community that risked being forgotten. John Beck created this video about our immigrant neighbors. We shared it with Omar Medina. He's head of UnDocuFund. UnDocuFund helps those in the community who may not qualify for government assistance because of their immigration status.
At first there's the fire, okay? But we don't think about that. Then going for days and even weeks afterwards, there's one complication after another. And that's what we're seeing now. Those that work out in the fields, those that are working for the harvest of grapes, they don't have work.
My family depends on me. I mean, the money that I make is to feed them, to buy them clothes, and pay my rent, my bills. So it's hard to think that I don't have nothing and I don't have a job, and I don't know where to start again. There's going to be thousands of people that probably they're not going to qualify for federal aid or any kind of help.
For us, it was really thinking about a lot of federal aid and statewide aid coming in that wouldn't reach the hands of the undocumented population. So making sure that we could start setting up an independent, autonomous fund that could actually provide direct economic assistance into the hands of these workers and these families.
No, pues sí, pero...
Luz has become a safe haven for these people. They come here, we don't ask if they're documented or not. They need the service, and we give them the service.
We want to welcome them, welcome them back to the community. Yeah. It was tough. It was a tough time there for a little bit, but we're happy people are coming back. The air is getting much better.
All the people that I worked to were people with money, so they have a lot of mansions and other stuff in Santa Rosa, also in Glen Ellen. So now I lost my job because all the houses that I used to work, they got on fire. I
think jobs, rental assistance, and those are the biggest issues right now for the community. A lot of times what happened was people lost their jobs because the farms and the vineyards burned down. And at this point, they still got to pay the rent. At this point, they still got to put gas in their car. And so we're seeing the need for financial assistance being the biggest issue at this point.
Me da vergüenza ir a pedir ayuda porque
No, no hay
nunca-
que pedir, esta es la hora de pedir ayuda, esta es la hora que se pide ayuda. Todos nosotros estamos pidiendo. Hay gente que perdió casas
Ahorita, pues,
grandes.
gracias a Dios, aquí es la luz, aquí vinimos, nos refugiamos aquí a comer y gracias a Dios, a usted también, todos,
Okay.
Ya que se tengo aquí como en la casa aquí,
This is his second home. This is where he's coming because he feels ashamed to go and ask for help, but here he feels safe to come in. Ahora usted está aquí con sus amigos.
Sí, ahorita ya con mis amigos aquí vinimos a comer y ahorita pues,
Okay.
ahorita donde se me haga de noche ahí me duermo,
Yeah.
en my car.
Where he falls, he sleeps at this time.
So Omar, one of the first things I'm interested in is whether John Beck kind of got it right. The idea that there was a whole group in our community that risked being forgotten after these fires.
Definitely got it right. Well, there's a group that I think remains to have a certain set of aid filled. A lot of the people that aren't necessarily able to qualify for the FEMA aid per se, or aren't participating in that because of their immigration status.
I was very impressed with the idea that if someone applied through the UnDocuFund, you actually sat them down with a human being, they did an interview, they wanted to find out what the needs were and how they can help. Tell me about the process when someone comes in and applies for money from UnDocuFund.
Yeah, so we adopted kind of the model from La Luz, where we recognize that, we're dealing with people. We're not just giving them a paper saying, here, fill this out, and you're just a piece of paper to us. We're acknowledging the fact that they've just been through a traumatic experience. They're struggling. And we have someone that sits there and listens to what their story is. How were they impacted by the fire?
You're trying to raise about $5 million. That's the goal.
Yeah, we set a goal for $5 million. We're getting closer. We're nearing $3 million so far. But we know that this is going to be a long-term recovery.
Is there an average or is there an upper limit? How much do you give per family?
Right now, the average is around $2,300. The maximum that we do is $3,000.
When someone comes to you and then you find out perhaps that the family is sort of mixed, maybe the kids are citizens, the parents are not, do you kind of try to load that up so that you can help those folks get the money that they deserve from FEMA and other places because of the fact that there is a citizen in their home? Or do you handle it all by yourself?
We do our part by ourselves, but simultaneously, we try to let them know of any other potential resources. If they've applied for FEMA, we try to find out what the status of that help is. But if they haven't, we try to make sure that they know of it, but we also make sure they know of the risks. So with us, it's important people know the information, make educated decisions. We refer them to California Human Development, which is another program that's probably going to be administering funds that are coming down from the governor's office. If they've lost everything, we also try to refer them to American Red Cross, who also has financial assistance.
Now, if I could ask you to tell me, perhaps in Spanish, and we would translate it for our English viewers, what people should do. How could they start the process of getting help from UnDocuFund?
Para solicitar para UnDocuFund, la mejor manera es de atender una de nuestras clínicas. Las próximas que tenemos es el 16 de diciembre en Roseland Village y también el 17 de diciembre en Roseland Village, y allí estaremos a las 10 de la mañana en todos esos eventos.
How is this changing you?
I'm glad that I'm able to be a part of helping people recover and that I get to hear so many of their stories. It's hard, but simultaneously I think it's rewarding to experience.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Back at Bailey Field on October 28th, Transcendence Theater Company soothed the crowd with song.
I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer.
Please stand as the bell is rung for our fallen friends and neighbors.
If you lost nearly everything, what would be gained by sifting through the ashes? Perhaps you'd find some remnant of your former life, or maybe you'd get the inspiration to go on.
Oh, that's our dining room table. That's what that is. Yeah.
We sifted, and there were a few things that we found, but we just didn't find very much. We weren't able to go back for 2 weeks. And, you know, even when I heard and I knew, I didn't believe it. I had to see for myself that it wasn't there anymore. I just kept thinking, maybe there's a miracle and it's going to be still there. But I had seen pictures and I knew, but it was just, you know, a trick that my mind was playing or something. I don't know. I just couldn't really take it in until I saw it.
By the time we got in, we had seen aerial views of Mark West's estates, and it was clear that every house, you could even see our street, and except for the very far extension, every house was gone. So we knew before we went there.
I was actually up at school at Humboldt State in Arcata. I came down on Friday, the following Friday, to be with my family and stuff. We weren't allowed back into the house yet, but I convinced, I had a policeman, sheriff who lived down the street, and he helped me get in to come check out the house, because I just wanted to see it, you know, make sure it was real before going back up to school. This is my bed. Or was. Oh, my other computer. Oh wait, no? Oh no, that's a toaster. Yeah. We left some dishes in the sink. Oh, there's a it's a stocking hanger for Christmas.
There wasn't anything the first day that we went to the house, but the next time we went, which was a few days later, there was little tiny sprouts. And then the next time we went, which was like a week or maybe 9 days later, they were really growing, and so Terry decided that we'd bring them with us. And I can see that this one is actually going to flower really soon. This was a beautiful pair of scissors that Terry had given me some years ago. They were gold-plated. These are items that actually came from Miranda's house. And this ring I had given her, and it was something that my father gave me. It's an aquamarine, which is both of our birthdays. And then these were pottery pieces that we found that I'd like to try to do some kind of a mosaic with. Oh, and this is what I really wanted to find. This is a blend. We had a built-in blender in the counter, and everything melted, the countertop and everything, but I knew exactly where my ring was, and it fell right down and melted onto this metal motor box. So I think I will be able to get something done to rebuild that ring. Or maybe I'll just frame it like that, I don't know.
I don't feel really sad about the things that I lost. It's more just like the house that I lost with my husband.
Now that the holidays are coming and now it's been 7 weeks, every day there are things that I miss that I can't get back. Things like pictures of my kids when they were babies, before the digital age. But Miranda said something sweet one day. We were talking about a video of Dylan when he was a baby. And we used to watch it and laugh. It's really funny. And she said, you know, you're right, Mom, we don't have it anymore, but we have the memories of watching it. And that'll always be with us.
I will rise and stand tall. I will rise over the wall. I will rise above them all. Like the sun, which never dies, through sets every night, every day it does rise. Like the oceans, whose tides many times they are down, but invariably they rise. Like the trees, from the seeds they arise, and heights great they rise and rise. After falling once, twice, and thrice, again and again I will rise and rise.
Diane Askew mostly makes her living as a wedding and event photographer, but she's really a photojournalist at heart. Ever since the fires, she's been moving around in the areas of devastation, and the images that she sees have been jumping out at her. One couple, Lynn and David Gurley, asked her if she would capture them standing in front of the ruins of their home. Let me ask you, what was in your mind when you thought, you know, there's this photographer that we love her work, and we think we'd like to be photographed in front of our home. Are you sending this out for a Christmas card? What's your thought? Why did you want to be photographed here today?
I think we represent a lot of people that escaped with seconds to spare. And I think we represent a lot of people that almost died. And when I was going down the driveway with David in the flames, and not only in the flames, but in a virtual firestorm on Marquette Springs, I closed my eyes and I knew I wasn't going to survive. I was saying literally to myself, wow, this is it. And then I thought, in a fire, I would have never thought this for myself.
I thought that when we were offered the opportunity to have a professional photographer come up and document what is left, it reminds me to drive anywhere in Santa Rosa. It reminds me of how fleeting everything is.
I have a whole new lease on life. I really do. I mean, I thought I was positive before, optimistic rather, but now it's like I'm just so happy in each moment just to be alive that I feel I don't sweat the small stuff as much anymore. I'm just amazed and happy to be here that my time isn't up yet.
You have found lots of little beautiful things in the fire. I know the frog sort of a thing, little sculptures, little pieces of dishes and things. What do those mean to you as a photographer?
They're symbolic. They're symbolic of a life that existed before this event. And they're charred, which makes them interesting to me because they survived. They're survivors. And so many things didn't. So many things are just beyond recognition. It was really interesting when I first posted my collection, smaller at that point collection, on Facebook on a particular webpage that was set up for victims of the fire. I was nervous. 98% of the comments were positive, and people showed gratitude. And one thing that came up repeatedly that, again, I almost hesitate to say, was people saying that I captured beauty in the devastation. But certainly I got feedback that, there were glimmers of hope, the solar light that was still working, the flower that's growing in a pot that's burned. There's just survival throughout.
Brian Fees is a writer and cartoonist whose first graphic novel is Mom's Cancer. He and his wife lost their home in the fire. He responded the only way he knew how. He started drawing. His fire story was then turned into an animation by KQED Public Television in San Francisco. If you'd like to hear our interview with Brian, go to krcb.org/news.
On Monday, my house disappeared. Around 1 a.m., my wife Karen snapped awake. The electricity had gone out.
I smell smoke.
That's just the Calistoga fire. It's 20 miles from here.
The sky is glowing.
Clothes I packed. 2 pairs of socks, t-shirt, sweatshirt, flannel shirt, toiletry bag, 2 tighty-whities, a jeans, shirt, jacket, sandals I put on, stuff we grabbed, photo albums, a few framed photos and art, 1 copy of each of my books, jewelry, important papers, computer backup USB drives, dog, cat, and their stuff, our daughter's best stuffed buddies from infancy, Boo Bear and Piglet.
Evacuate now!
My neighborhood lies along a creek between Napa and Sonoma counties. Monday night, a blaze that began 20 miles away near Calistoga caught 50-mile-per-hour winds. A flaming front swept down the creek and broke over the hills like a napalm tsunami. We were at the tip of a bellows, feeding a blast furnace. We didn't know any of that when we left at 1:30 a.m. The idea of that distant glow in the sky actually making its way to us was ludicrous.
Where should we go?
Your office. Karen is director of Sonoma County Human Services. Her office has a backup generator, phones and internet, and a soda machine. It's also only a few miles from our house. Besides, it was time for her to get to work. Between 2 and 7 a.m., Karen activated emergency phone trees, organized shelters, and planned the evacuation of a foster children's home as fire bore down from 3 sides.
How many kids? No, you can't go west. The highway just closed. When will the cots arrive?
She was too busy to think. At dawn, I set out to get as close to home as I could.
Don't do anything stupid.
Who, me? The sun was a dim orange disk in a salmon gray curtain of smoke. I inhaled my neighbors' lives. I drove to the first roadblock, parked in a nearby lot, and started walking. These blocks looked all right. Everything would be just fine. The street made a gentle curve into our neighborhood. As I rounded it, I knew. I see a refrigerator in the rough shape of a car I used to have in my garage. I don't recognize anything else. A 2-story house full of my life was a 2-foot heap of dead smoking ash. I called Karen and told her she'd just become one of the thousands of refugees she was helping. Karen was a hero the rest of the day. With 9/10 of her staff out, she led a team that improvised and problem solved. It was impressive. In quiet moments, we inventory lost treasures, each a swift stab to the heart. We didn't save the wrong stuff, we just didn't save enough of it. A time capsule to be opened in 2030. A series of photo strips taken by cramming our family into a booth at the county fair every summer for 18 years. My mom's diamond earrings we planned to reset and give to our girls on their next birthday. Everything I drew or painted, everything else. On Tuesday, I bought shoes for walking and boots for digging. I saw things I needed 2 days earlier. Furnace filters, printer ink, light bulbs. and realized I didn't anymore. It's unnerving to need both everything and nothing. My keyring has 5 keys. 3 of them don't do anything anymore. Front door, mailbox melted on sidewalk, car incinerated in garage. I wonder how long it'll be before I can bear to take them off. Karen and I know dozens burned out. A friend caring for his husband with Alzheimer's. The widow of a famous cartoonist who lost decades of priceless artwork. A retired FBI agent who lost a presentation firearm. A family with an autistic son whose life is anchored in routine. They haven't told him yet. He thinks they're on vacation. Mary on the corner who can't find her cat Lucy. Thousands of homes have been destroyed in this firestorm. Ours was one. I'm self-aware enough to recognize the classic symptoms: sleeplessness, loss of appetite, mental lapses, mood swings. Sadly, understanding trauma doesn't really help relieve it. When we were allowed back to our house, we found a foot-deep fog bank of ash. Glass melted, china fused, concrete exploded, steel twisted, aluminum trickled down driveways. Maybe one day we'll appreciate our fresh start. Not yet. Not for a long, long time. Well-meaning people say it's just stuff, but it was our stuff. Stuff we created, stuff we treasured, stuff from our ancestors we wanted our descendants to have. Stuff is a marker of time and memory. It's home.
That's it for The New Normal. We'll leave you with some resources and ways to stay up to date, but mostly we need to hear from you. We'd like to find out if our coverage matches what you need to know. Write to us at news@krcb.org.